everyone, Shubu here, and a while back, I took the entirety of the Smash Bros. Roster and made it just Pokemon. Only Pokemon, and it was a fun video that a lot of you guys really liked. I did say I would do a few more eventually, and today is that day. I am going to be taking the entire Smash roster once more and removing all the characters that aren't related to our favorite Italian plumber, Mario. I will be keeping Donkey Kong, Yoshi, and Wario characters as well. They're going to be grouped in with Mario for this. Just so, for those who haven't seen the Pokemon video, how this is going to work is all the characters in Smash will be replaced with Mario-adjacent characters. And for third parties, there'll be characters that are either other Nintendo properties or other platformers from similar companies or even the same company. All the Mario characters will be staying, of course, and the reason I picked the characters will be explained, but for the most part, it's based off of more so body type, personality, abilities, etc. It's very much on a case-by-case basis. And on top of that, characters must exist as of the time that game released. Rosalina isn't going to replace anyone in the Mario 64 roster because she didn't come out till Mario Galaxy, which was, I swear, a decade later. All that being said, I'm going to hop right into it because, again, a lot of characters. I don't want to drag this video out any more than it needs to be. And if you want to see me do even more videos like this, please subscribe, like, comment down below. I love to hear if you have any alternative characters for the ones I list throughout the video, or if there's any you think would be fun as actual Smash characters in the original game. Throughout this, you're going to be seeing this background. On the left, you'll have the Smash character. On the right, you'll have the Mario character. Or just Mario, because of course we're going to keep Mario, and we're going to keep DK, because they're Mario characters. For Link, we're going to replace him with Hammer Bro. This is to go alongside Young Link and Toon Link, who we'll get to eventually. But for now, I like the hammer being able to be thrown and a physical object. There's also variants of Hammer Bro that could work with the various arsenal that Link wields. Samus, we're going to replace with Kamek. Instead of the projectiles from the arm, it's magic from the wand. And to go alongside that, with Dark Samus, we have Candy Koopa from Paper Mario, a much more evil version of Kamek. Yoshi is going to stay. Kirby, we're replacing with Goomba. Kirby's whole thing in Smash is that he has abilities with all the other characters with his inhale ability. No Mario character really has that sort of copy ability, so instead Goomba is going to be using his various hats and forms. Goomba has appeared in many Mario games, and many versions of Goomba have appeared, and various instances of Goomba wielding power-ups or hats that grant it additional abilities. I'm going to say along those lines, Goomba will be using its hat collection or its power-ups, whatever the case, to mimic the abilities of the rest of the roster. For Fox, I'm going to be taking Tanuki Mario. For the rest of Star Fox, they'll be power-up based. Pikachu, the only electric character I could think of that really fit this, was Amp, who I believe appeared in Mario 3, but you probably all know him from Mario 64. Luigi staying. Ness replacing with Mallow to keep the magical feeling, and since we have Magicant and Smash and it's cloudy based, I thought Mallow also fit that. And of course, Waluigi gets to be somewhere. We've seen many mods by the fandom that make Waluigi Captain Falcon, so what if he was? I know, technically speaking, I'm pretty sure Waluigi hasn't appeared yet, but development time skews things a bit, so we're gonna just say Waluigi existed, and he's going to be Captain Falcon. Lastly, for Smash 64, Jigglypuff will be replaced with Bert the Bashful from Yoshi's Island. Bert, his whole thing, and his pants fall, Jigglypuff sleeps. My thing is we're going to replace the sleep, effect with some form of stun effect from being flashed by Bert. Peach is going to stay, Daisy's going to stay, Bowser's going to stay, all the Mario characters, of course. Then Ice Climbers, we're replacing with the baby versions of Mario and Luigi, only because we've seen them in Partners in Time, Wield Hammers. I think they're the best kind of match for a duo that have hammers and their jumping abilities. It goes really well with Ice Climbers and their gameplay. Sheik being a ninja, sometimes we've seen Shy Guy do ninja-esque things. I'm going to say that's all we got because we don't really have ninjas to work with in the Mario franchise. Zelda, I'm replacing with Wart. Now, I know, very different. Let me explain. Wart has magical properties, as do most of the characters, according to manuals, and I'm fine with that. Wart appears in a Zelda game. Zelda, of course, is from Zelda. It's her game. And to go back to Melee and Brawl, where they switched, why would Wart be switching to a Shy Guy? Well, in Mario 2, Shy Guy actually first appeared, and what's going to happen is Wart will be summoning his minion to fight for him for a temporary time, and then they would switch back, just like Zelda and Sheik used to do. Dr. Mario, we're keeping because it's still Mario. Pichu, just like how we had Amp before, we're going to have Watt from Paper Mario, a baby electrical spark. Falco, we're going to be taking Bunny Mario, Rabbit Mario from Mario Land. It was the only other, like, good ability that was, like, flying based that wasn't Wing Mario. I thought the wing cap didn't fit, and this was more animal based. They could redesign this ability so it's more animal-esque for Falco. Then we get to the final characters, which all have to kind of group together. So for Marth, we're taking Dry Bones, and Lucina, we're taking Dark Bones. I pictured their swords replaced with just bones I would hold. Young Link will be Fire Bro, as in the game, he uses fire arrows, so instead we'll have Hammer Bros moveset still, but with fire properties from the Fire Bro. Ganondorf is infamously a clone of Captain Falcon, so I just needed a bigger, stronger character that fit the physique. Who better than Chunky Kong, a big humanoid? Then we have Mewtwo, a magical character, very powerful, very popular. I figured Geno would fit best with that, only because, again, there's a lot of characters that fill similar gaps, so the ones that don't fill those specific criteria are very few and far between. This is one of those cases where you gotta stretch it a bit, but it works. We also have Roy, which will be Red Bones for, like, the fire. And then Chrom, we're gonna have Monty Mole. I'll explain more about this when we get to Ike later on. And Mr. Game & Watch, being 2D, will be taking Paper Mario. On to Brawl with Meta Knight. Meta Knight's an interesting character because of a lot of spinny and sword-based things. Replace the sword with Dixie Kong's hair, and the fact that she's always spinning as well in her games. I think it's a good match. Pit, being an angel and you know, heaven and all that, Lakitus and clouds, good enough for me. And we have an evil version from Mario Galaxy, Giga Lakitu for Dark Pit. Zero Suit Samus, we need a woman, Pauline. Wario we're keeping. Snake, being our first third party, I'm replacing with Duck Hunt. Not necessarily a third party, but a different franchise. I wanted Duck Hunt very badly on this roster because on the NES cartridge that was packaged with the NES in America, it came with Duck Hunt. Duck Hunt and Mario were synonymous back in that time. I want Duck Hunt to be here for that callback. Now we get to Ike, who is going to be Rocky Wrench. And the whole thing is the wrench will replace the sword. And since their Monty Moles are adjacent to them, give them like a bat from one of the baseball games, and you call it there. Now for Pokemon Trainer. We don't have a good, you know, monster catching like mechanic in this case. So the best bet would be EGAD. And what's EGAD going to be doing? Using the ghost. Being able to control various ghosts from the franchise. The ones I picked in particular were the Gold Ghost, the Grabbing Ghost, and King Boo for Squirtle, Ivysaur, and Charizard. I thought they all kind of fit the best out of the original Ghost selection, since Dark Moon wouldn't have come out by this time. Diddy Kong, still staying. Lucas, since I need another magical character, I figure Ghosts by nature are magical, so we're taking Peepa. Sonic, another third party. This is a platformer, a huge one that Mario's collabed with in the past. I think it's completely okay to keep Sonic as a third party rep. For King DDD, I just took another bird, and I think this one's also another famous bird. So we have Pyoro. Then Olimar, I don't know how we'd go about this, but we'll have one main virus. And since Olimar would have the Pikmin around, we'll have one main virus, a ton of smaller ones that would act as the Pikmin do in the game. Lucario, we're really stretching at this one. Bruiser, it is a ghost that is very physically, you know, they fight a lot. Again, not much to work with, taking what we got. We're keeping Rob. This is a must. Rob, the only other playable appearance that isn't the physical device is Mario Kart DS. The Nintendo character, but also a Mario character if you ask me. And lastly, for the links, Toon Link, we will be giving Boomerang Bro. I think it was the best out of the Bros options to represent the wind, because the boomerang, you know, flying through the air, I guess. And again, Star Fox with the power-ups. The last, like, big animalistic power-up that wasn't, like, the frog suit, which I don't think fit for any of the characters, was a penguin suit, so we're giving it to Wolf. Now for Smash 4. Here we have Villager, and I'm giving Nabbit that role, since Nabbit has the bag to steal power-ups, Villager has Pocket I think that's the best kind of workaround for that move. Mega Man staying as a classic platformer from the era. Wii Fit Trainer, we are going to be replacing with Jimmy T from WarioWare. It is the only humanoid character that can really fit the physical nature of Wii Fit. Rosalina staying. Little Mac replacing with Foreman Spike. While I have even shown previous boxing characters, I think Foreman Spike works best as Little Mac's whole thing is he's kind of not meant for this game, as he's a human boxer. He is a very down-to-earth game. He is just the human guy. So having Foreman Spike, who has very few appearances and is just a dude relative to the super-powered world they're in, I think Foreman Spike works best. For Greninja, we're going to be taking Ninja from Mario Hoops. Is this technically a Mario character, or is it a Final Fantasy character? It's in a Mario game. It's just a general thing. I think it's a deep cut, and we're in the Smash 4 era, so Cloud's here, so we're gonna say that it works. For the Miis, each class will be a different group of characters. For the Mii Brawler, I'm saying they're gonna be animals. For Sword Fighter, it'll be Plumber, basically just hero characters. And Gunner will be the bad guys or the Koopa Troopa. Then we have Palutena, who, with her magical staff and all of her abilities, I think would go best to Ashley from WarioWare. Pac-Man, we're gonna keep, again, classic platformer and just classic arcade game from the era. I think will be okay. I know it's a bit of a stretch calling him a full platformer, but like, besides the arcade game, it's all platformers for Pac-Man. Robin, with all the magical abilities, and because this is during, again, Smash 4 era, which the Nintendo Wii U and 3DS, I'm bringing Phantasma from the 3DS era Mario & Luigi games. Shulk, we're also bringing from those games. Chocolata, I don't know. But because it's like the soda monster, basically different soda would act as the different Monado arts. Bowser Jr. staying, and Koopalings. Duck Hunt, since Duck Hunt is now moved to a third-party slot, we are going to replace this duo with another duo from WarioWare, Dribble and Spitz. Ryu's a third-party character, Rayman third-party. Both companies have very strong ties with Nintendo, so I think that worked. Of course, Ken being just like Ryu, Glowbox, and more modern Rayman games is just like Rayman. Cloud we're keeping, because I did previously mention the various Final Fantasy games like Hoops. Corrin, due to the dragonic nature of Corrin and the fact that they basically shapeshift in and out of dragon form with weapons, I think it'd be best to give to Builder Mario, as no other character really shapeshifts like that in the Mario franchise. So having a character who can just at least build with things out of thin air, have various stuff around his belt, I think Builder Mario is the best to represent that aspect of Corrin's character and their moveset. Lastly, from Smash 4, Bayonetta is a pseudo-Sega, pseudo-Nintendo property, and no one really knows at this point who fully owns it. So, we're giving just third-party slot again to another Nintendo IP, this one being Kirby, because Sakurai still be making the game. Now for the final batch of characters from Smash Ultimate. Inkling replacing with Shadow Mario, they fit the whole, ink stuff. Ridley will be replacing with Hooktail, just a big dragon character that'd be shrunk down. Simon is staying, as well as Richter. While Metroidvanias aren't necessarily platformers, they were basically, like they are, it's a weird kind of gray area, but for sake of this company doesn't really have any other platformers, I'm going to keep them. K. Rool is staying. Isabelle we're replacing with Ninja. I feel like Ninja and Nabbit are similar body types, so we're just going to say Ninja for some reason has to talk. And Incineroar from base game being the last of the fighters, we're replacing with Rock Hawk, wrestling character, fun, animalistic. I think it works. For the DLC, Piranha Plant's obviously staying. Joker being Atlas, who is now owned by Sega. Another Sega platformer you guys may or may not know about, Rystar. On top of that, what other platformer can you find from the people who made Dragon Quest? Well, Ballad from the infamous Ballad Wonder World. Banjo-Kazooie is staying, of course, has to. Terry is going to be replaced with Marco Rossi from Metal Slug. Same developer, same company. I wanted to do this time where I kind of looked at the overall companies and picked games that are made by the same team, if at all possible. That's why we have Metal Slug here, when again, Metal Slug's not really the platform of a run and gun. For Byleth, we're going to be replacing with Edge from Mario & Rabbids Sparks of Hope. While that game came out way later, we're just not going to think about that. For Min Min, we're going to give her Lanky Kong, because Lanky Kong has lanky arms, Min Min got long arms. For our kind of indie character, instead of Steve, I'm bringing Shovel Knight, because Shovel Knight and Yakult Flames are just great friends with Nintendo. Replacing Sephiroth, instead of putting another character, like, I could have kept Sephiroth, because we have Cloud already, but I wanted a separate character. I just didn't think Sephiroth made sense, because Sephiroth hasn't worked with Mario directly, you know? So instead, we're putting Link, because that's a character that has worked with Mario. For Pyra and Mythra, we don't have any good dual personality, like, at least 2 characters in the Mario franchise that really fit. Like, it's such a specific thing. So to work around that, we have Wiggler, who gets angry. And that would be the difference. When you press down B instead of switching, you have Happy Wiggler, Angry Wiggler, slightly different movesets, just like Pyra and Mythra. For Kazuya, we have another big platformer IP. There's not really any good ones from the company that makes Tekken. Well, there is, but like they're kind of already here. So we're taking Spyro, and since Sora's such a big deal from PlayStation, we're taking Crash, who everyone still wants at Smash to this day. And all of that being said, I hope I was able to get through all of that in a relatively good time. Also, this is a new setup for me, and new equipment, so if anything sounds bad, let me know in the comments. I'll try fixing it and making it as good as it was before, or better. This is stronger equipment, so I'm hoping everything comes out better than before. And all of that being said, thank you all so much for watching. It was a lot of work, actually, this time, compared to the Pokemon one. I feel like that one was a lot of just kind of remembering what Pokemon era I'm looking at, but like, this one, a lot more research, a lot more characters to look at. It was really fun, and I really like the challenge, and if you want to see more, let me know in the comments. All of that being said, I'm not going to drag this out anymore, because I'm really scared this video is going to be a long one. So, I wish you all a lovely day.